Welcome to the Airgun Show. Inspired by the time that I've spent shooting Gamo brake barrels over the past few weeks, I'm going to share a few tips that I hope will help you to shoot more accurately with recoiling airguns. But before that, I'm heading out on an evening rabbit ambush. Right, I'm out rabbit shooting again this evening, and we're actually out on the same farm as where we shot the last rabbit shooting video. And I think we're actually going to target the same field because looking around, it still seems to be where the most rabbits are. Now, I've been chipping away at these rabbits for a few months now, and there are noticeably less here, but there is certainly still enough to be doing some pretty serious damage with their excavations. So I will continue to thin them out for as long as the landowner and I think that we need to. The kit that I've got this evening, I think it's the same setup as last time actually, so it's the FX Impact Mark II. This is my 22 caliber FAC rated model. Now I don't really crank the power up though. I've said before I like to run it at a nice sort of smooth 30 foot-pounds rather than pushing it too hard. The gun is paired with a Hawk Sidewinder scope, and that is held on as ever with Sports Match scope mounts. Now I've picked a spot just down the hedgerow, not very far at all from where we were last time. It's a really nice thick overgrown hedge, so with the sun set to possibly come out a little bit more before the light actually goes this evening, that will keep us in deep shade, so I'm going to head over to there now. Well, that's two in the bag. That one was at about 30 metres, which just needs a touch of hold under with this setup, and it was certainly a really clean kill. Now, that rabbit was sat bolt upright, and the chances are it'd probably seen a glinting lens or a bit of movement from us. Now, obviously, if you're out on your own and you haven't got cameras with you, you're very unlikely to spook rabbits when you're shooting prone like this, because it just does such a good job of keeping you down off the skyline. But with two of us out here, it makes a little bit more disturbance than usual. Well, there was no way that other rabbit was going to hang around to offer me the chance of getting a double there. Now, They were both fairly small rabbits, probably about 2/3 grown, but I've said before that when you need to control rabbits because the extent of their population and the excavations that they're causing is causing serious damage, you can't really discriminate too much over the size of them. You just need to thin them out. And another point that I often make is smaller rabbits like that, when you're shooting for the pot, which you should always try to make the most of any edible quarry, they are so much better to eat than older, tougher rabbits. Well, that one just needed a bit of a squeak to encourage it to sit up so I could get a clearer view. It obliged and presented me with a really nice clear shot, just how I'd wanted it. Well, there were actually two up above the ground at once then. Really nice straightforward bread and butter shot again at about 30 metres. And another really good clean kill. I did actually flick on the illuminated reticle for that one just to get a little bit more contrast against that slightly gloomier looking backdrop that I've got now. And although there is still light enough to shoot by for a little bit longer, I am actually going to make that the last one, not least because I've been here for a couple of hours now and it is starting to get pretty uncomfortable on this hard ground. But also, the same as last time, these rabbits, yes, they're being shot for pest control, but they're also perfect for the pot, so I want to get them picked up before I run out of light. Another memorable evening out targeting rabbits there. Now, next up, a few pointers that I hope will help you to stay on target when shooting recoiling air guns. Break barrel air guns are great fun to shoot, and I've been trying to feature them more in recent episodes. Now, guns like this one, the Gamo Swarm Roadster Gen 2, offer a simple and comparatively affordable passport into the world of airgun shooting. Now, I'm actually planning to take this one out on a hunting trip for a future episode that will hopefully run pretty soon, but this week I want to share a few tips that I hope will help you to get better results when using recoiling airguns. My first piece of advice when using a recoiling airgun is to adopt a gentle hold. Now, too many shooters mistakenly believe that they can literally strangle the kick out of a spring or gas ram airgun by holding it with a really tight grip, but it's better to be gentle with it. Now that way, the movement from the recoil can always follow the same path, moving in the same way, which therefore means that the pellet will always travel along the same path. Now, because of that movement from their kick, recoiling airguns can shoot very unpredictably if you rest them on different surfaces. Now, that could be anything like leaning on a bench, a fence post, or even using shooting sticks or a bipod. Now, the thing is that you can take rested shots with a recoiling airgun, but you need to place your hand between whatever it is that you're leaning on and the stock of the gun. And that basically replicates that same gentle hold as usual, and once again the recoil can travel down the same course as it usually does. Now, if you are planning to use rested shots in this way in the field, it is worth just practicing on the range just to ensure that there's been no change to the point of impact. If your recoiling airgun is a break barrel rather than a fixed barrel, you need to pay close attention to the barrel lockup mechanism, because if there's any play in it, that movement will result in a loss of accuracy. So try to opt for a quality model like this Gamo that has a really good, solid, secure barrel lockup system. It is also a good idea to put plenty of pellets through your recoiling airgun at the outset. Now, apart from helping to lead in the barrel, that first 100 or so pellets will help to disperse and burn off any excess lubricants that could cause dieseling and inconsistent power output. Now, also, spring and gas ram airguns tend to improve very gradually with more and more use as their components run in. As with any airgun, experiment with different pellets to see which give the best results from your gun. Now, as a general rule of thumb, a quality domed pellet is usually the best, but it does still pay to experiment with a few different brands. Now, rather than spending a lot of money on numerous tins of 500 pellets that won't necessarily all get used, try asking your friends if they can lend you a few to try, or get yourself a sample pack. Virtually all spring and gas ram airguns are equipped with rails for attaching a telescopic sight. Now, this model is actually scope only, and it comes supplied with a zoom scope and mounts. But don't ignore the open sights if you go for a model like the Gamo HPA MI Tactical that we reviewed a few weeks ago. Now, that package actually included some brilliant fibre optic open sights, which were terrific for fast target acquisition, which made for brilliant fun plinking in the backyard range. My final piece of advice is try not to be too obsessed with getting an airgun that produces power as close as possible to the legal limit. Now, spring and gas ram airguns tend to work best and certainly shoot a lot smoother when they aren't working too hard. Personally, I would much prefer an airgun that's producing a smooth and consistent 10.5 foot-pounds than one that's really straining to churn out 11.9 foot-pounds. So that's a few tips that I hope will help you to get better results with your spring or gas ram airgun. As I said at the outset, these guns provide a simple and affordable way to get into shooting, and they're also just great fun to shoot. But they really shouldn't be regarded as a compromise. If you go for a decent model and get the fundamentals right, you should be able to achieve precision to rival that of a PCP. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for in this week's episode, but as ever, we'll be back again in a fortnight, and in the meantime, you can keep up with me on Instagram at Matt Manning Outdoors. Thank you for watching, and remember, if you aren't already a member of the BASC, have a look at their website and check out the benefits that you could be taking advantage of through Airgun membership.
Don't miss the award-winning Airgun Shooter magazine. It's packed with hunting features, reviews, tactics and insight to help you become an even more successful shooter. Get your copy today in shops or online.